Welcome into Not Another Football Show. I'm your host, Tamara Brown. Actually, I should be saying welcome into Not Another Sports Show. I'm your host, Tamara Brown. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things this season because football season is wrapping up. So we switched the name to Not Another Sports Show. So same show, same vibes. But, we're switching it up a little bit. So this is my first one for Not Another Sports Show. And we're bringing back our fabulous guest, Paige, who has been just a huge asset to our show this year. We had her on as a guest before, so we had to bring her back. I wanted to bring her back on immediately, and we're so happy to have you for our second show of 2026, Paige. And I have school is back in session at the bottom because school's back in session. The kids are just getting back from winter break, and I feel like the first question back is, oh, how was your break? But the first question back for a lot of these schools, at least the ones in the CFP, is, did you see that game over break? Did you go to the game over break? Paige, you had the pleasure of going to the Fiesta Bowl. How was it? Give us the background, the sights, the scenes of what you saw when you were there.
Yeah, Fiesta Bowl is always a great time out here in Arizona. Arizona puts on a pretty good show for anybody who's coming to town and visiting with weather and atmosphere and everything. And the game lived up to every bit of the hype, and especially when you consider the other game that was played, Indiana, Oregon. Man, oh man, I was happy to be at the Fiesta Bowl. It was back and forth, back and forth. A lot of Ole Miss fans traveled. Really liked interacting with them. I did have a Lane Kiffin cutout that I had free for our tailgating event that we had, that I was passing out shots called Shame on Lane. Those were very popular amongst the Ole Miss fans. We had a pretty good time just kind of commiserating over what has been a total debacle, quite frankly, in their coaching situation. And I gotta give them a shout out. Just that entire team, the quarterback, the running back, the staff, everybody, for staying focused and being able to block out the noise and be one play away from playing in a national championship. I can't imagine being in that locker room. I can't imagine what it felt like for them. Kudos to, obviously, Miami, who's moving on, and hopefully we're going to get a really good national championship game. I've loved watching Carson Beck's resurgence, but specifically in this game, I wanted to tip my cap to Ole Miss. They definitely brought the fan base. They definitely brought the good vibes. And if you ask them, there probably should have been a pass interference call on that last play. And I certainly would have liked at least one more shot at the end zone from Trinidad Chambliss. But thus, here we are. We're going to get Miami and Indiana, and I'm looking forward to the game.
So I'm curious, going into the game, obviously, you're a Nebraska fan. If people watching this right now, Paige is a Nebraska fan. She's not a fan of either one of these teams. So she's completely unbiased. When you walked into that stadium, who were you expecting to win?
I was expecting Miami to win just because, honestly, every game that Ole Miss won felt like playing with house money. And I know going into this game, they lost a lot of, 2 of the 6 members of the staff that were going to LSU were able to continue coaching. And I know that for the outside viewer or fan, they may not understand how much that actually impacts the team, but it has a dramatic impact. I think when you think about the fact that the wide receiver coach was not there, and there were quite a few miscommunications on the football field, the passing game coordinator, those are things that really, when you're talking about the difference of, 3 points, 5 points, those are the details that matter. And I really think it showed in that game. I was expecting Miami to win. I wasn't expecting the Carson Beck game that we got, to be honest with you. I was pleasantly surprised to see him have what I would say is a big get back moment based off of what he had last year. And it was a big game for him. So I went in expecting Miami to win just based off of the fact that I thought it was going to be very challenging for Ole Miss to be able to overcome just another set of obstacles, right? And they gave them their best shot, man. They really had an opportunity there to the end. And I will say, to Ole Miss fans, so I don't get any hate mail, you guys deserved a pass interference call. You did not get a pass interference call, but by the letter of the law, it was pass interference. It should have been called, and I'm very sorry that you didn't get the call. But alas, we've got Miami moving on, and I'm looking forward to the national championship game.
So I went straight into the full course meal here and didn't stop to let people know your credentials and why you were able to speak on the game the way you have been the past, 5-6 minutes we've been on here. So Paige, give them background on what you do for a living, why you're not just a huge fan of the game, but you can also talk about the game, let them know who you are.
So thank you, Tamara, obviously. I'm the CEO of the Draft Network, and I host a show called The Draft Club, which talks all things NFL, college football, and our intersection or our sweet spot is that group of guys that are every year coming out of college and going into the NFL. We're evaluating them, we're talking to them, we're interviewing them. Each and every year, I talk to between 100 and 150 players that end up going to the NFL draft. On top of the staff that I have, Justin Mello will do 300 interviews. He interviews every player that gets drafted and all the UDFAs. So we get a lot of information. We talk to NFL teams a lot. I talk to colleges a lot. But specifically with college football, I get to be more of a fan, which is fun. And that's why I went to this game. I wanted to be able to soak it all in, see this experience. And quite frankly, I kind of wanted to just be a part of Ole Miss. Like I just kind of joined the train. I was like, you know what? I'm pissed at lane 2. This was BS, and I'm all in on Ole Miss. So I just considered myself. Plus, they have like the most amazing color palette when it comes to schools,
Facts.
and so I'm all about it. I was all gas, no brakes on that, and yeah, it was a great game. It was a great game.
So you just gave us your credentials on what you do for a living. And so I feel like because this is a topic of conversation right now, I'm going to stick with Ole Miss and their amazing color palette and their amazing quarterback who may or may not be back for another year. Do you think that he's going to end up, I know he's, got lawyers and things and they're going to try to appeal the decision that the NCAA had, but do you think that they're going to end up winning and also, if he doesn't win, what do you think his chances are in the draft?
Honestly, if I was him, I would come out. I can't imagine that you're going to have a better opportunity to kind of ride the wave. There's so much respect for him and what he did and how he was able to lead his team. And I totally understand wanting to run it back. I don't blame him at all for wanting to go spend another year in college. But usually when the NCAA comes out that swiftly, the NCAA likes to sit on decisions for those of you that pay attention. And the fact that this was done very quickly was denied. I am not anticipating that he is going to be able to overcome this and he's going to end up having to come out in the NFL draft. And I don't think he's a day 1 guy. I see more of a day 2, potentially day 3. But I do think the character, the leadership can help propel him to a potentially day 2 guy. And man, it's impossible not to root for the guy, right? Ferris State to Ole Miss, everything that happened. I hope he gets what he wants, but I just don't trust the NCAA, Tamara.
I agree with you, honestly. And I think that, he could be a steal for somebody. Like you saw, I can't stop thinking about Shador and just his story this season with watching him fall in the draft, obviously, and then seeing how his season ended up. Obviously, they didn't win a bunch of games, but seeing him in the season as a starting quarterback was so cool. And there's so many people, so many teams with a lot of needs right now. Obviously, head coaching positions being the first thing that needs to be filled. But I was just curious your take on just does Chambliss have a chance in the NFL? And I feel like couldn't be a more perfect person to ask than you.
Yeah, I definitely think he does. I am not a person that puts limitations. I think one of the things the NFL draft community really does is they like to put people into a box and say, if you don't fit these qualifications, you can't play. We all know that that's not true because there's been plenty of examples of guys who have been there, have been able to play. And unfortunately, that's how this goes, right? So I'm sorry for my dog barking in the background. For those of you that can hear that, he's just a little worked
dogs.
Up. Oh, I'll put him on camera. I'll get Ollie out here on camera. He's definitely a ham for sure. But yeah, I think he's got a shot, and I think the leadership that he showed in what was a absolutely horrible moment, you got to tip your cap to him. And I know how the NFL evaluators think about the leadership qualities and the character he showed. So he's passing every character test, and I think that's why I would like him to come out.
Well, I stand with you on that, and I look forward to hopefully seeing him drafted here in a couple of months. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to, of course, have to show some love to the Hoosiers fans, who I'm sure are pretty excited right now. And if they can fund up the coins trying to buy their tickets right now, because I saw the ticket prices for that national championship, and I almost died. But we'll be right back after the break. Welcome back to Not Another Sports Show. We are back talking about college football playoffs that are going to be coming to an end here soon with the national championship on the way. And I feel like, how about them Hoosiers? We have to give them some love too. I don't know how confident I am in the situation because it's Indiana and they're not really known as a football school to me. They're more of a basketball school, but you have to give them some credit where credit is due, Paige. Were you expecting them to do what they did against Oregon?
No, I wasn't. And in fact, I had picked Oregon to win the game based off the fact that I just really thought it's really hard to beat a team twice in a year. And Oregon had a lot of talent. And man, oh man, was I wrong. That Indiana team continues to defy logic. They continue to defy all levels of expectation. And at this point, I don't know how in the hell you could pick against that team. They have absolutely shown that they are not only here to win, but they are here to punish you. They are old school college football. They run the score up. I love how Kurt Signetti coaches. He is not here to beat you. He's here to make you question whether or not you want to continue playing football. That is the brand of coaching that he has. It reminds me of Nick Saban back in the 2009, 2010 era of Alabama, where they were just annihilating people, taking your souls, making you question whether or not you wanted to play football anymore. And it just feels weird because we're watching, in my mind, what has absolutely been a basketball school my entire life. I grew up in Chicago. I have a ton of friends that went to Indiana. They're losing their minds because this is the most unbelievable turnaround in any sport history. You're talking about literally a bottom 5 program. Nobody was going to 2 years ago. There were 5,000 fans averaging at these football games. There was nobody there. Nobody cared. It was insane to do this, to turn this around. Kurt Signetti, I mean, tip of the cap to him. I cannot believe what I'm watching. And Fernando Mendoza puts the ball on a dime every time. He is the most accurate prospect that I can remember. It is insane what he's doing, and he just keeps going. And I'm not picking against them. That's for sure.
So I remember when Kurt Signetti got hired, and he was at, I think, like a basketball game or a pep rally, something. And he was so bold in talking about how they were going to beat Ohio State and I was scared for him because I was like, does he know where he is? And I was like, I could already see in my head, people taking that clip and when Ohio State, destroyed them, just putting his words up against the highlights. And I could just see it in my head, just like as a nightmare. And now I'm like,
100%.
wow, he really talked the talk and walked the walk. Like, he meant every single word. And now they're so close to a perfect season. And I don't know how they're going to do it, especially going down to Miami Stadium. It's their home game, essentially. I'm looking at the ticket prices like, are we buying a house or are we buying a ticket to a game? I want to know like what the stadium is going to look like, because that game for Indiana, Oregon, I was like, where are the Oregon fans? Like trying to get my magnifying glass, where are they at? And they travel so well. 100%. So I cannot wait to see the atmosphere, Paige.
Yeah, Indiana is one of those schools that, for those of you that graduated from the Big Ten like I do, you understand it's the Kelly Business School. It's the number 1 business school in the country. Mark Cuban is a graduate, which is where all that NIL money is coming from. And there are a lot of wealthy, prominent business people that are Indiana fans. And you got to understand, this is once in a lifetime to them, right? They have gone their entire lives and never seen Indiana be worth anything in football, to then be playing in a national championship game. Yeah, you didn't see a whole lot of Oregon fans, and that's because it was a big travel ask for Oregon. And on top of that, Indiana fans are traveling and they're spending money because this is once in a lifetime to them. And I have tons of friends that are going to be down in Miami. As much as it is in Miami and it should be a home game, I don't anticipate that it's going to be a home-dominated crowd for Miami. There will be a lot of Indiana fans there. They are very excited. The Midwest on the East Coast tend to be a little bit more rabid as far as fan bases go. Miami, there's a lot of other things to do. Indiana, Bloomington, there's not a whole lot else to do. Everybody's focused on this. You got to think about the time of the year that this is for people living in Indiana. Oh, a trip to Miami? Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
I'm trying to go too.
So, yeah, girl, you and me both. I think this is going to be an awesome environment. I anticipate there will be a lot of both fan bases. And it's going to be, I'm excited for the Carson Beck, Fernando Mendoza show. I'm excited to see that defense on Miami's side with Rumi Bain, who's potentially a top 5 pick in the NFL draft this upcoming year. But man, Mendoza has put on a show each and every time he's been given the opportunity. And I don't think it's going to change when we come into that national championship game.
Do you think, because I asked you and you have the credentials, guys, she really, like, if you're not following Paige by the end of this, like, she knows her stuff, like, period. If you want to know anything about the draft and the prospects, get on over there and follow her. I'm curious because we see so many college quarterbacks not transition over to the NFL in terms of style of play. How do you think that he will do in the NFL?
Well, Fernando's got a lot of things going positively for him, right? He's got a prototypical, when you talk about what the NFL wants, Fernando Mendoza's body type is exactly what an NFL team wants for their quarterback, right? He's 6'4", 225. He's a big guy. He's a big quarterback. You see him run. He's physical. It's actually an underrated aspect of his game. But probably the thing that, not probably, definitely the thing that about his game that translates is the processing that he does on the football field, him being able to read the entire field, work through his progressions, and his ability to be accurate with the football. That is, if you talk to any coach in the NFL, the number one thing that they're going to want to look for is when they transition, what style of offense were they running? Is that going to be a pro style offense when they get to the league? Are they going to be able to adapt faster? And the processing component of this, that's the part of Fernando Mendoza's game that honestly is some of the best I've seen since I've been covering the draft since 2019. He is so accurate where he places the football. There was a 10-yard out route where he hit Surratt on the chest. I mean, right here. And it was on a dime. And I was like, that is a stupid throw. Like, that is so unbelievable. The defender has no opportunity. That's an NFL throw. And he has had a lot of those. And that's the thing with him is, I know people, he's a little quirky, he's a little different, but I like it. I like that he's different. I like that he's the first Cuban American. I loved his Heisman speech. I love how much he puts on for his family, for his teammates. If you're making fun of him, then you probably should just take a look inwards before you start making fun of him. He's from all accounts, a wonderful young man. And yeah, sure, he's a little quirky and a little different, but Tom Brady's a little quirky and a little different too. So I have a lot of faith that Fernando Mendoza, no matter where he ends up, is going to have a lot of success because of his hard work, determination, the chip he has on his shoulder, and just the processing and accuracy we've seen at the highest level.
And now we have to show them some love too. We're trying to be fair here. And actually, Paige was talking to me before we recorded, and she was like, "Tamara, where do you stand with Miami? Like, what are your thoughts?" And so we're gonna have to get some love with Miami too before we get Paige to give her pick for the national championship. I don't know if I'm gonna make you do a score. I actually looked at the odds, and I think it has Indiana winning by 7.5.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of points. It's a lot of points.
And I mean, it's still early too, because what are we, like a week away?
Yeah,
we're a week away, so it could change. But this guy, Carson Beck, is the U back? Do you think that's been like a fluke with them winning, getting to this point? Because, everyone's talking about, they were the last team in, they didn't play in the ACC championship. There are all these different things that people are talking about when it comes to Miami. And now, obviously, they're hosting the national championship in their own house. Thoughts on him? Is it him that's making this Miami team so great? Or is it a combination of things between their defense and their head coach and, just maybe the stars aligning? Or is it Carson Beck?
So I don't want to knock Carson Beck, but he is definitely not the number one factor here in the success of this Miami team. This defense is nasty. They've got dogs on that defense, and Reuben Bain is a dude. And I said top 5 in the NFL draft. He could end up being top 3. Like, he's deserving of all the praise he's getting and then some. I would rank, if I was putting a tier here, I would put the Miami defense number 1, Mario Cristobal number 2, Carson Beck number 3. They all deserve credit, but Mario deserves a lot of credit for the coaching job that he's done down there in Miami, the turnaround that he's had very quickly. Originally moved down there from Oregon to take care of an ailing parent. And you got to give him a lot of credit for just making that move from Oregon and going back to a place where he knew there was going to be a lot of pressure to be back, right? In the question that you originally asked, is Miami back? To me, no, they got to win a national championship to be back, and they got to build on it. I'm hesitant to always say anybody's back because there is so many examples of whether it's Texas and you think of Sam from Forever Ago saying Texas is back. And then it was multiple years before Texas was actually even sniffing being back. And I would argue they're still not back until they actually go win something that matters. Yes. These are the things that happen. So I always try to not ride the hype train. So I'm going to let Miami show me they're deserving of that by, even if they don't win this national championship, you can't get embarrassed at home, right? You can't get boat raced at home. This is the first time a team will ever play in their home stadium. You cannot let them come in and embarrass you. And if they do, then it's going to be a very tough offseason and a very long conversation. I don't anticipate that's going to happen, but Indiana's put it on everybody. So it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Okay. Before we go, we got to get Paige's pick here. I told you what the odds were, what Vegas is saying, 7.5. Like you just mentioned, Indiana has put it on everybody. 56 points in the college football playoffs is crazy. Wasn't expecting that. I don't know if they'll put up 56 against Miami, but who do you got winning and by how much?
Yeah, I'm going to go and stick with Indiana. I can't shy away from that team at this point. I picked against you once, Kurt, and I'm not going to pick against you again. I learned my lesson from going with the Oregon Ducks, and I will not be doing that. Now I am going to stick with the Indiana Hoosiers, and I do believe it will be a much closer game because Miami's defense is very stout, and I do not anticipate that it will look like that Oregon game. And also, if you watch the Oregon game, it was a couple of mistakes very early on that just piled on, right? And then they were just able to just keep pushing and punishing that team. So I don't anticipate that happening, but the one thing about Carson Beck that makes you nervous is his tendencies to turn over the football. If that happens, and that happens early, this could get very ugly. I'm hoping that that's not what we see. I'm hoping we see a continuation of the game that happened at the Fiesta Bowl, and he takes a step forward and goes into the NFL draft offseason with some positive momentum, considering where he was a year ago at the University of Georgia.
Well, you heard it here first from Paige. As if you are betting on the game, take a lot of the things that she said into consideration. If you got bets going with your friends, because you know people do that. Like, probably already got bets going already with their friends. And so if you're doing that, or if you're thinking of doing that, make sure you take what she says into consideration because she knows her stuff. I'm serious. Like, she knows her stuff. I know people like to say, like, oh, women in sports, what does she know? No, for real. Like, Paige can kick back with anybody, head coaches and all. She knows her stuff. And for that reason, we're probably going to have to bring her back, as a lot of NFL teams are trying to make head coaching decisions and all the new changes that are happening. Also, I have to say before we go, shout out to Paige and her Chicago Bears for their huge win.
Thank you.
Caleb Williams, like, I feel like he's going to put all Bears fans in the hospital because...
Yes, he is.
I don't know how many, like, second half comebacks that you guys can take. We're at 7 now. And so God bless you all watching the game. Because I mean, it makes for good TV, but
it makes for great TV. But if you're a fan of the team, that was a absolute. Luckily for me, I am the mediator of my family, so I have to stay even keel because I have a very passionate, very loud Greek family. So my father and my brother were very upset at halftime, and I was reminding them over and over again how many times this team came back. But they are on an extraordinary run. And at this point, we're playing with house money. They beat the Packers. I have that for an entire year to lord over every Green Bay fan. And I have a playoff victory. So that's, they literally can't take it away from me. They can't take it away from me. So I'm very happy.
I feel like that's going to be Steelers fans if they're able to pull it off. Like that's That's going to be
I'm
Steelers
rooting
fans
for
if
them.
they can pull it off. But congrats to the Bears. They deserve it. Caleb Williams
Thank
deserves
you.
it. Paige deserves it. And Paige, thank you so much for coming on today. And I hope to see you so soon.
Thank you. Thank you, my dear. Good luck to everybody. And make sure you take my Indiana. If you're going to take anybody, just take them.
Period. Mic drop. We're going to end on that note. And we'll see you next time.